This was the first mission that Andrew and I had worked on, but really like in tandem to kind of plan exactly what we wanted to do. And Andrew came in with a very solid idea of what he wanted to do with the mission, which was we wanted to kind of invert the traditional trust mission, where rather than relying on your compatriots' strengths, that you would have to kind of bail them out of the situation in which their weaknesses were kind of amplified.
Yeah, that was sort of the core concept, and Trevor was actually part of the plannings for that mission as well. But something that we sort of wanted to play with in SRHK was the idea of, for one, sort of playing against type with the characters in their trust missions. So Gobbet is a very light-hearted character, so we went heavy on her trust mission. Is0bel is a much more self-serious character, so we decided to make that the comedy mission, and to put her in a situation that she was completely ill-equipped for. She is very competent in the Matrix, and she's competent in a firefight. Social situations, not so much. I thought it would be fun to try sort of a Cyrano de Bergerac scenario where you have to talk her through increasingly difficult social situations.
Yeah, and that worked out well because we, myself and Andrew, had also worked on a mission prior to that we were kind of noodling with an idea where you would actually have teammates in separate areas of the map that you'd be working with, and so we were able to bring that into this mission where you basically have two completely different squads kind of doing things that they're in tandem and in parallel, but they're not happening at the same time. So that kind of landed pretty well too, that you got to see different parts of the area and you kind of felt very much exposed and vulnerable, which kind of heightened the whole be charismatic, everything is good here, the Han Solo moment of everything's fine, we're all fine here, just try to keep things running smoothly because you are vulnerable, and if a fight does break out, you're going to have to react quickly and it's going to be kind of a shit show. And so from a gameplay perspective, it was heightened and kind of amped that way too, which worked out really well. But the DECCON setting was just something we kind of landed on of we wanted to have a mission where there was a lot of Deckers around and she was trying to retrieve some data, and then we landed on this idea.
Yeah, well, I think that, so we were talking about some of the trust missions feeling more like actual Shadowruns, and this is one of the ones where, it's this is going to feel a bit like a run, but we don't want it to be yet another hit on another corporate building.
Really fun environment, though, that was realized really well.
Yeah,
yeah.
Zach
Hartlich did a great job on that.
So Zach was originally did content managing, put all of the props in and everything for us, which was really nice, and then he
stepped up for that
stepped
mission.
up, and now he does environment stuff too.
Yeah.
And did a really, really cool job of DECCON. I was originally going to do it, and then he grabbed it, and I was really happy because I just got to see a badass convention of Deckers, people who you don't normally see in the real world, kind of be on this floor and do all the cool different, which I'm sure Tyler was really nerding out about, all the different
technical vendors.
Technical vendors and stuff from all of the Shadowrun lore. So I think that was just a really nice visual treat for people who are really into the lore and got to see all that kind of thing, and awesome, cool lighting that really sold the feel of the convention. Some cool little, what was that?
Perfect Persona.
Perfect Persona.
Yeah, he really built up that kiosk that the mission kind of hinges around, where you're connected to that kiosk, and so a lot of work went in technically to kind of make the mission come together, where the camera is switching between these two different squads, and I spent a lot of time making that happen with some frustration, but it came together really nicely, where you have these moments where you're jumping between the different parts of the mission, and it's kind of spinning two plates and just making sure everything is going well.
Yeah, you fought an epic battle against our camera system. Well done.
Slayed the beast, but
The dialogue portion where you're jumping between Is0bel and the main character, and whatever your responses are to one person, Is0bel
parrots it.
It's just
I
didn't know what was going on the first time that happened.
That was
like,
Andrew's idea.
Just fuck off, guy. All right, just leave. And she's just like, just fuck off, guy. Leave.
I was so concerned about it because jumping with the camera was going to be so tough. But Andrew's like, we got to have a scenario where you're having a conversation while Is0bel's having a conversation, and you can't say things freely to her, and you have to respond to somebody else. And it just became this beautiful moment where like there are two conversations, but only one speaker, and it came across
you have
really
to stop and try to find the option that satisfies them both.
Yeah, like exactly.
Yeah,
it's like when you're on a phone conversation in a room with someone and you're trying to answer two people at once.
It was kind of tricky to write, but I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, and it's also one of the missions in the game where you can fly through that mission without firing a shot.
Yeah,
and,
absolutely.
And we did a lot of work where you could just kind of we dropped in backers. It's got a lot of life and vibrance to it. Andrew threw in some backstories and some fun little tidbits with like the noodle extruder. If you do explore with Is0bel on the second floor, you can read some emails that are very intriguing.
Yeah, the mythology of the noodle extruder is something that was born from one of the pieces of environment art that went into the game, and we wound up with this extra terminal, and it's like, well, this terminal has some emails in it.
Yeah.
We don't know what they're about. Noodle extruder, go. I also want to thank Connor for providing me with the opportunity to write the world's sketchiest drug dealer in the bathroom.
Bathroom dealer.
Who's got a grocery bag full of loose pills and syringes.
He takes that basically.
That came down to Trevor, who Trevor handles a lot of the economy type stuff and a lot of the item stuff. I think we just said, like, we need to create some unique items that you can buy on runs, and so I was like, well, what do you have left over? He's like, well, I have some drugs that I haven't gotten a place for yet. And so I was like, oh, well, I don't know, big gathering of people, public bathroom, drug dealer. So I just threw a shady drug dealer in there, and I left the dialogue basically completely blank, other than the fact that he had a mistaken, misconnection. He thinks you're somebody else there for a drug buy, and then everything else was just Andrew building out this really, really shifty dude in a bathroom at a convention of thousands of people trying to sell you snack.
You did primary source research for this one, right?
Oh, I did actually. Funny story. I left the office one night and went to the grocery store to get dinner, food for my family, and had to use the restroom. Stepped into the restroom and walked into this was a Bellevue high-end grocery store. There was a drug deal going down 7 p.m. on a weeknight.
That's exactly what this whole setup was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.